Since we've had a good look at this salt marsh mouse and gotten a good look at his earmark, I think it's important to go to someone from California who knows a little bit about conservatives in California who hopefully are not an endangered species like the salt marsh mouse. The gentleman, Mr. McClintock from California.
I thank the gentleman from Oklahoma for yielding. Being from California, I do have to note how frustrating it is to see the same folly that has brought California to the brink of insolvency now being practiced here in the seat of our national government. After all, there are still 49 other states that Californians can move to if the left succeeds in bankrupting California. If they succeed in bankrupting America, I wonder where we will all move. We've had a lot of fun tonight with the salt marsh mouse, a very wealthy mouse about to be. But I think it's also important for us to note that this Congress is on the eve of a momentous decision. A decision that is going to follow us and follow our children many, many years into the future. I particularly want to compliment the gentleman from Iowa for taking to the floor tonight on the eve of this vote to try again to sound the alarm to our fellow Americans of what's at stake. And I want again to urge the majority to consider very carefully the damage that they're doing to our nation's economy by passing this unprecedented spending bill. There's still time, fleeting time, to heed the warnings from economists across the nation that this bill will do long-term damage to the growth of our nation's economy for many years to come. And this is not mere economic theory, Madam Speaker. It is the consistent effect every time and everywhere that a government has tried to spend its way to prosperity. Tonight, history is shouting its warnings at us. Never has a nation spent its way to prosperity, and many nations have spent their way to ruin and to collapse. If government bailouts and handouts and loan guarantees actually worked, we should today be enjoying a period of unprecedented economic expansion. After all, we began down this road more than a year ago when the failed Bush stimulus plan, and now we have squandered or placed at risk some $9.7 trillion, as the gentleman said earlier, enough to buy up 90% of all the mortgages in America. Not 90% of the bad mortgages, 90% of all of the mortgages. Another way to look at that, as an economist pointed out recently, is that that figure vastly exceeds the modern-day inflation-adjusted cost of the space race, the Vietnam War, the Marshall Plan, the Louisiana Purchase, and the New Deal combined. Problem is, this policy doesn't work. Now, we've been told from a residence about a mile from here not to, quote, come to the table with the same tired arguments and worn ideas that helped to create this crisis, end quote. And yet, Madam Speaker, that is exactly what this administration and this Congress are now doing. This is exactly the same policy that the Bush administration pursued for more than a year to no avail, and we're hearing the same tired rhetoric to justify it. Different singer, same tired old song. At best, the proponents of this policy are trading a fleeting economic surge for a sustained, chronic, and long-term reduction in economic growth. And there's a simple reason for that. The $800 billion that they have to borrow just to finance this single bill, let alone all of the other trillions of dollars that they've either spent or placed at risk, that $800 billion they have to borrow for this plan comes from exactly the same capital pool that would otherwise have been available to loan to employers seeking to add jobs, or home buyers seeking to buy homes, or to consumers seeking to buy consumer goods. They're literally taking $800 billion from loans that could have been made to expand the economy and shifting them to loans that are going merely to expand government. And that $800 billion plus interest will have to be repaid from the future earnings of American families, directly sapping the future economic growth of our nation. On average, this single measure will reduce the disposable income of every tax-paying family by more than $7,000. Now, instead of reducing their disposable income by $7,000, maybe we ought to consider increasing their disposable income by reducing their tax burdens now. That's what the Republican alternative proposes, a plan that economists tell us will produce twice the jobs as the president's plan at half the cost. And to those who doubt that, listen to the president's own numbers. He's repeatedly promised that the $800 billion in this bill will create or save as many as 4 million jobs. That comes to $200,000 per job. We could literally save half of what he has proposed spending. If we were to send $100,000 checks to each of those 4 million lucky families, that's by the president's own numbers. Now, nobody here suggests the government should do nothing in the face of this terrible recession. But this plan is actually worse than doing nothing because it robs us of our economic future. Madam Speaker, perhaps we need to add the Hippocratic oath to the oaths of office for the President and the Congress. First, do no harm. I yield back the balance of my time, and
I thank the gentleman from California, and picking up on the point that you